So my name is Francesca. I'm 37 years old and I live in Berkshire with my husband, my two children and my dog. I'm currently sitting in my at-home office, which is in need of renovation. So most of my spare time is currently spent either drinking wine or renovating, or both at the same time. I'm going to start at the beginning of my story and work up to where I currently am now, which is as a technical change manager at Three. I think it's probably quite important to call out the fact that I'm actually not a technical change manager, despite my title. So my route has been very much around the service management and the process side of IT and technology, as opposed to the technical side. So I go back to my education. I started with a very arts-focused history. So I spent most of my GCSEs and A-levels looking at things like classics and ancient history, English literature, and very little focus on the STEM subjects such as science and maths, which is quite surprising considering where I am today. I also was very, very passionate on horse riding. So I spent most of my younger years up until the age of 21 very actively participating in dressage. So I was actually on the British dressage team for quite a few years, which, as you can imagine, takes quite a lot of time and energy. And I'm going to be truthfully honest, when I was choosing my GCSEs and my A-levels, and then even when I was looking at my university degree, my mind was not focused on my future career. It was very much on my riding career and where that was going to take me. So I chose most of my subjects and my university degree on how much time it would allow me to spend studying. And whether I could do it from the back of a horse box in a different country. So probably not a great start to my career, but it hasn't harmed in any way. I went to Warwick University, which was very close to where my horse was based, so I could train and study at the same time. And I was very fortunate in that I finished university with an undergraduate degree in classics and ancient history, and also a master's in classical and ancient visual material culture. Challenge was that I reached the age of 21 with these wonderful qualifications and this fantastic riding background. And I suddenly realized that I didn't know where I was going to go, which at the time felt quite alarming. And, you know, with the benefit of hindsight, I now know that that wasn't a problem. But for me at that time, I didn't know where to go. So what I decided to do was to visit some of the temping agencies in the local area. And I thought I would just start making some money, and I would get experience of multiple different areas, different types of roles, and try and work out what I wanted to do with my life. I actually was very lucky. One of the first agencies that I interviewed with actually offered me a job at their agency. And after a 3-month spell, I knew very, very firmly that recruitment and sort of cold calls and that type of work wasn't for me. And it wasn't where my future was going to lie. I was very lucky. I very shortly after was offered a role working for Accenture, and a little bit like Lucy, I started off on a non-technical service desk, fielding calls and passing tickets to respective technical queues. And I think it's quite interesting, when I interviewed for that role, I went in with very little expectation of getting the job, because I felt that as a student of the arts and a riding background, I'd have very little to offer in an IT environment. And actually, it was very interesting because the lady who hired me became a very, very close friend. And she said to me, the reason I hired you was due to your transferable skills, your communication skills, your organisation, and the way that you were able to talk to people and articulate and understand their problems. And actually, that was really nice to know, and something that I wanted to get across right now is that never undersell yourself or expect not to get something because you don't know what another person is looking for. Anyway, that started me off on my career in IT service management. And I stayed with Accenture as a service management coordinator, looking after the ITIL processes of incident, problem and change for multiple clients. And I stayed there for 6 years. I was very, very happy in the role. And it was only when I realized that very few opportunities to develop were coming up, because people were so happy there, that I would need to move organizations. And I was very fortunate. I found a very similar position working for Mercedes AMG, which is the Formula One company. So it was a very similar role, but in a very, very different industry. And it was very fast paced. And their motto used to be, you have to be there when the lights go on. And it was a very different environment that gave me very interesting exposure to different types of people, people who are really, really passionate about what they do, and they all work 24/7 abroad. And, really, really helped me to understand a very different industry and to use the skills that I had and my newly acquired IT service management knowledge. I stayed with Mercedes for a couple of years, and due to a change in personal circumstances, I moved to Three back in 2013. And actually, I started as a partner manager, so looking after more of the contracts and the partner management side. And then due to a number of various reasons, I've changed roles within Three 2 further times. So I spent 2 years working as a service transition manager. So again, very much falling back into the ITIL world and being involved in helping to support projects as they were moved into new live environments. So I did 2 years in that, then I was on maternity leave. And then when I came back, I joined as a technical change manager. And that is what I do now. So I govern and assure the change management process, which is carried out by a number of our partners on behalf of Three. So that, in a nutshell, is my career history. And I have a variety of roles, all very much in the service management field, so non-technical, as I've said. I think moving on to some of the key takeaways and pieces of advice that I wanted to sort of give to you as students and young people trying to decide where you want to go in life is that you don't need to be alarmed about not having a career path in mind. So I imagine that some of you are at the point where you're choosing what you want to do. Some of you may already have an idea in mind that you want to go into a STEM career, and that's great. I was very much on the former end. I did not have a clue that I wanted to go into a STEM role. I didn't really even know much about them. I'd been to multiple career workshops, and I actually thought that I was going to fall into a career, sort of more of a vocational career, such as nursing, which is what my mother had done. And I did some work experience as a physio. And actually, I realized that wasn't for me, and it wasn't going to sort of be something that I would enjoy. So I'm really glad that I did take the opportunity to do those work experiences and to understand that better. But with the benefit of the hindsight of being in that position and feeling that alarm that I felt, I now know that it didn't limit me, and it didn't become a problem in any way. And actually, I should have just maybe enjoyed the journey a little bit more. So that was the first piece of information that I wanted to impart. Secondly, always expect the unexpected. You may be on a path and you may think that you have it all mapped out and you'll be happily moving along that path, and then something will change. And this has happened to me a couple of times before, and I've been in a role, for example, where I've been very, very happy, and then due to an organizational change for some reason, I've had to divert my path slightly in a different direction. And actually, at the time, that may have felt very worrying and slightly challenging situation. But actually, again, looking back on those now, I needed to reframe my thinking and actually look at it as the opportunity that these challenges turned out to be, because they gave me exposure to different roles and to different skills and different people. And actually, that journey has brought me to where I am now, and I wouldn't change that for the world. And then I think the other thing that I wanted to say was to look out for the opportunities, not the roles. So I would have loved to have been in a situation where I said, right, I would like to be, in 10 years' time, I want to be a technical change manager. I never had that. And I have never once sat there and said to myself, I would like to be this by this amount of time. I've always been of the mindset that actually you should do what you enjoy. And if you're doing something you enjoy, you're going to do it well, because you will automatically do it well. You should also look to take the opportunities that are presented to you. So any opportunity to develop your skills, be that work experience, be that a different role, further academic qualifications or certifications and accreditations, and your soft skills as well. So anything that you can do to build yourself and to develop yourself will put you in great stead for then finding those opportunities and being in a position to take them when they come up. So I think those are the key takeaways from me. Thank you. Do you know, in a funny way, I think it probably has. It taught me from a very young age how to manage my time incredibly effectively. And, you know, people say time management, it's a really important skill, but it genuinely is. If you're going to do well in life, you need to manage your time and be where you need to be at the right time. With horses and my background in them, I was riding a horse before school and I was riding a horse after school. And I was also trying to ride horses in between lectures, meet deadlines whilst traveling around Europe in the back of a horse box. So actually, I think it taught me some significant multitasking skills, my time management skills. And it also, I think it helped me with my confidence, because I'm not one of the most outgoing, confident people. But actually, when I got on my horse and I had to ride into that arena, sometimes watched by hundreds of people, that's a very nerve-wracking experience. And actually being able to put yourself in that situation and have the confidence to just get on with it and perform to the very best of your abilities. Those are all really important skills, which will help you in your career and, you know, your future life, be that career or not. So yes, I think it definitely helped me. So my advice for building your confidence is, actually, I'm going to start with an expression actually, which I heard a few years ago, and I wish I'd known earlier, which was, what would you do, or what could you be if you weren't afraid? And every time I feel slightly worried or apprehensive about a situation, or I have done in the past, I said that to myself. And I realized that the only thing limiting my abilities or my opportunities was potentially myself, because actually I'm more than capable and I need to have that confidence to just go out there and do that. And I think as my younger self wouldn't have been confident enough to do that, whereas now I'm a little bit older and a little bit wiser, and I've put myself out there enough times to now know that there is nothing that I can't do if I put my mind to it. So it's just having that confidence to do so, and you're only going to get that through experience. And that's uncomfortable at times, because you have to put yourself out there and you have to get that experience, and it's only with that the confidence will come. So it's really important not to hold yourself back because you're worried that you might fail, or that you might look bad, or that somebody might judge you. They're not going to, and you're going to do a brilliant job, but you've just got to have that courage to get out there and do that. I don't at the moment. I still have my very beautiful old retired horse at my parents' farm, so I'm very lucky. I go back and see him, but unfortunately, my two young children keep me otherwise occupied at the moment. But I'm already getting them lined up, ready to get them started in a year or two.